honestly have no idea what's really happening in Texas right now. Yeah, and they think this is just another left versus right fight or some random internet drama. But it's way deeper than that, because this isn't Republicans taking down a Democrat. And it's not even really about ideology. This is a full-blown coalition collapse happening in real time. And the craziest part is it's coming from inside Jasmine Crockett's own base. Specifically black women, the most reliable voting bloc Democrats have ever had. And instead of quietly drifting away, they're openly rejecting her on camera, on TikTok, saying they don't trust her, they don't like her campaign, and they're not buying what she's selling, which is a massive red flag for any politician. The whole pitch from Crockett has been identity first. Trump bad messaging, basically asking for votes instead of earning them. And that's exactly what voters are calling out, because when people actually sat down and compared the candidates, one woman flat out said, "Look, I don't even like that. The other guy is a Republican, or that he supports Trump. But at least he's talking about real stuff, cutting fraud, reducing debt, border security, flood mitigation for Houston, which floods every time it rains." Well, Jasmine Crockett's website barely had any policy at all, just anti-Trump talking points. And that raised a very simple question that voters keep asking. What does Trump have to do with Texas when he's not even on the ballot? Then things got worse when people started noticing that Crockett didn't really seem to have strong backing from her own party. And some voters even pointed out how weird it was that Republican leadership didn't seem worried about her run at all. Which made them wonder if this campaign was being taken seriously behind the scenes. On top of that, she's catching heat from the other side of the left too, because pro-Palestinian voters are now treating Gaza like a hot litmus test. And they're openly saying they won't support politicians who back Israel, period, and Crockett's voting record put her on the wrong side at that issue for them. Especially when you combine it with the fact that she's against universal health care, while supporting funding for a country that already has it, which, in their minds, makes zero sense when Texans are struggling with rising healthcare costs. Some voters even brought up how Texas required declarations of support for Israel to receive FEMA aid after Hurricane Harvey, and said they're tired of politicians prioritizing foreign interests over local suffering. And the key point here is that these voters aren't confused. They're very clear. They're saying this is a primary, not a general election, and they're perfectly fine with Crockett losing to another Democrat who better represents their values. Meanwhile, another voice in the conversation warned that liberals are going to try to shut this criticism down by screaming anti-black at anyone who disagrees. But voters are increasingly immune to that tactic. Because what's really happening is people are done voting based on identity alone and are starting to vote based on competence, principles, and results. Strategically, this is where Crockett's campaign really falls apart. Because once your base starts publicly questioning your seriousness, your policies, and your motives, there's no easy reset button. And instead of pivoting, apologizing, or recalibrating, the response has mostly been doubling down. Which usually feels strong but actually speeds up the collapse. What you're watching isn't just one candidate struggling. It's the old political math breaking down. The idea that identity plus party, loyalty, automatically equals votes no longer works. Especially with younger voters. On the left are turning against foreign intervention, and on the right are leaning more non-interventionist too. And that puts establishment-style campaigns in a tight squeeze from both sides. The real takeaway here is that this campaign looks like it was built for attention, not durability. Because if you don't have a solid policy foundation, and you're relying on symbolism and confrontation, the moment voters stop filling in the blanks for you, everything crumbles fast. And that's exactly what's happening now, with turnout enthusiasm collapsing and comparison shifting away from vibes toward actual governance. Looking ahead, the most likely move is more entrenchment, more identity framing, more accusations, more doubling down, but rarely wins primaries. Especially when another Democrat can step in with clearer policies and better alignment with where the base is moving. And the wild card here is memory. Because once voters decide you're not serious, no viral clip or clapback fixes that... And 5 years from now, people won't remember the TikToks or the headlines. They'll remember this as the moment voters finally said, no, earn it. And that's the part that should scare every politician watching. Because this wasn't just a rejection of Jasmine Crockett, It was a warning shot to an entire political strategy, and the real question now isn't whether you like her or hate her, it's whether you recognize that the rules of the game just changed, and who's smart enough to adapt before they get blindsided next.